And here we are back again. So it's an APC. It has the relay board in there. It has the power supply board intact. Power supply board supplies 24 volts to a little power regulator, which is one of the few that can actually handle up to 30 volts input. So it supplies 3.3 volts. That goes to this wonderfully nice little ESP board that I found. Costs about 10 bucks. It has power coming in. It has two wires going out. There's a set of pull-up resistors to the outgoing wires because those are I2C. The I2C pins have to be moved from the default pins to some unused pins because the default I2C pins get used by the Ethernet chipset which is on this board. And the nice thing about this Ethernet chipset, or rather the Ethernet header, is that they were so sensible to make it exactly the size of the one that was originally in the APC. So that is almost perfect. Biggest issue is that the pins are on the top, so the pins are not on this side of the board, but they're on that side of the board, which kind of presents a problem if you want to make a shield or something, because two of the pins there, one on this side and one on the other side of the Ethernet jack, are blocked by the Ethernet jack. So just as a proof of concept, we're going to plug this thing in after making semi-sure that the whole thing isn't actually shorting anywhere. That has power. The software is pretty much the same thing. It has the same setup as we had with the previous proof of concept, except it has this in there. As a consequence of doing that, you do need to turn off all the Wi-Fi stuff. So the Wi-Fi stuff is all disabled. And the I2C bus gets moved to pin 14 and 15 in this case. So I've got the interface loaded, but it's probably gonna require reloading, and sometimes it doesn't come up directly. There we go. It might still be busy. Oh no, of course, since there's no Ethernet cable in there, that will take a while. So that was completely expected behavior, or rather unexpectedly expected. Since the whole device is actually live at the moment, I have to be a bit careful. So that's now connected. I hope it still does DHP. Yeah, look at that. So that worked. And if all goes well, I should be able to toggle things and have that work. Perfect. So the to-do work for this is to figure out if we are using this form factor or if it actually pays to make our own little boards, which would be a challenge. We might be able to reuse the current board by taking the Ethernet jack off this and soldering wires to the magnetics on the original board. The good thing then would be the fact that we could use the logic on the board to control the display, which is in the right spot. There's a switch, there's another switch, there's a set of 3 color LEDs behind here, of which one is only populated, and there is a serial port. All these things are nice to reproduce. I think at least the display is important, or an LED to give a status info, maybe then the button to cycle through the status info, and serial is handy to just break out in any form, TTL or RS-232 levels, to do firmware updates. I think that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, on the other functionality side, it currently uses only one of the two 24 volt power supplies that are on there. So if one breaks, you don't have anything. It uses one converter there, I think that setup can be made to work with a couple of diodes using both 24 volt power supplies, and it would be nice to have some power sensing logic so you can detect which of the power supplies actually works, so that you can alert on that. The other thing is that there's a current transformer on there which also outputs via that cable there, so that should be possible to actually sense. I've done that before. Should work. You might notice this wire here. The only thing that thing does is to pull the A0, A1 and A2 lines down to ground, so that the thing is on a predictable address. Apparently if you don't strap those, they will jump to any random level, and you will have random intermittent problems whenever you turn on and off the machine. Cool, that was it. Let's see what we can do. Ciao.